Boxing Ego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. 1. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Now listen, I did a video 5 days ago, and you guys see it on the screen. Terence Crawford training for Adrian Granados or Felix Diaz. May 20th, Amir Imam is no longer an option. So initially, Bob Arum said there were 3 candidates for Terence Crawford to possibly face, Amir Imam being one of them. However, because Amir Imam is the WBC #1 mandatory for Crawford, who now holds the WBC belt after defeating the Iceman Victor Postal. So just to get you guys caught up to speed. But Bob Arum said in an effort to make the fight, he reached out to Imam's promoter, Don King, only in America. And failed attempts. They have a date that they're targeting, May 20th, and they weren't able to get a response back from Don King, so they said scratch him off the list. He's the mandatory. That fight could possibly present itself later, but right now we got to get this locked in so the fighters know who they're training for and stuff and have a successful camp. So I did a video 5 days ago and I told you Amir Imam is no longer an option, and Crawford was the leading candidates were Adrian Granados, who just fought Broner. I covered that fight live. Great fight. Some people even have Granados winning, or Felix Diaz. So I'm going to give some information, some updated information. Now, I talked to some people that know some people. You know, I know a little people. And they're saying that the fight with Felix Diaz is the one that will be made out of those 2 opponents. So this is still Ego rumor mill. Nothing's been confirmed. But I trust the sources. I don't just get on. If I haven't heard anything reliable, then I don't just make videos. I get information sent to me all the time. But I think this is the person. They still have to finalize the contracts and make the official agreement, but it's looking like Felix Diaz over Adrian Granados. So I want to give my thoughts on that. And I gotta say, man, there's nothing else that can be said about Crawford in terms of anything. There's nothing. I honestly, and I can't say this about a lot of fighters, but there's not that many fighters I could think of where there's really nothing you could say in terms of criticism. I really don't have any strong criticism for Terence Crawford. This proves, if he in fact fights Felix Diaz, a Dominican Republic Olympic gold medalist, it proves what cloth he's cut from. He's really confident in his ability. He's down to face anybody. If you look at Felix Diaz, he does have a loss to Lamont Peterson, but you got to know your boxing. In that fight, I gave it to Peterson slightly, but I don't think it was Peterson's best performance. I only watched it once live, and I think Pritchard Cologne, that unfortunate situation, I think was on the undercard. It was a PBC fight. I remember off of the first and only viewing giving it to Peterson, but slightly. It was a dog fight. It was a close fight, and Felix Diaz did better than a lot of people thought, right? And a lot of people even thought Felix Diaz beat him. And then we know what he did after that. He fought Sammy Vasquez, who was undefeated, and he bloodied him up, busted him up, and it took a couple rounds for him to get warm. But once he was, man, he really brought the fight to Sammy Vasquez and had him looking pretty bad. And then after that, Luis Collazo ended up stopping him in his return. But Felix Diaz was the first one to set that trend. So for Crawford to fight him it's a testament. I mean, the dude's down to fight anyone, because I think Felix Diaz, he's pretty short, muscular, compact build, but he's very skilled. He mixes it up, and he's a gold medalist, right? I told you guys, even with Amir Imam, but since that got taken out of the equation, Granados or Diaz, I think those are both great fights for Crawford. I didn't have a problem with them fighting Granados because it's a similar situation. Granados lost to Broner, but it was close. Covered that fight live too, and a lot of people picked Granados. I think Broner made the right adjustments. He said he had a hand injury. I think he made the right adjustments. And Granados' best rounds were the first 3 rounds. And he let Broner take some things and nullify certain things. So I gave the fight to Broner, but it was damn sure a close fight, another close fight. We've been getting some good fights in 2017. So even though I was okay with Granados, I think Felix Diaz he's more of the guy, you know what I mean? That's probably the tougher fight, to be honest, just because he's an Olympic gold medalist, and his loss wasn't his last fight versus Granados. His last fight was the loss to Broner. So they're both good fights, but Felix Diaz, Felix Diaz has a lot to say. Lou DiBella, Felix Diaz, they've been getting on social media in the past year, and they've been calling out Terence Crawford, and he's like, okay, let's dance. I got nothing but respect for the dude, man. That's why I flew out to Omaha twice, my dollar, you know what I mean, to cover his fights, and I'm glad I did. I even covered his last fight against John Molina, but there's really nothing you can say bad about the kid. He's down to scrap. He's a polite person. But at the same time, he lets you know he ain't no punk. He lets you know, I'm from Omaha, you know what I mean? I've been shot in the head. I'm not worried about anything you're doing. And he really wants to prove that. And I respect that. And the thing that I really like, there's a lot of guys, even to a degree, I think Golovkin, I think Pacquiao definitely, where they fight a certain style that benefits them. Like, we know that they're going to do exceptionally well with that style, like tailor-made, you know what I mean? Like Pacquiao. When's the last time Pacquiao has fought a Keith Thurman, an Errol Spence Jr., a Kell Brook, those types of guys? And I'm not saying that Pacquiao can't possibly beat them, but I guarantee you those would be harder fights for Pacquiao than Jesse Vargas or Brandon Rios or Chris Algieri, because of those guys a lot of them have probably a size advantage, they have the youth advantage, a lot of them are really strong, athletic, good boxers, stuff like that, right? Same thing with Golovkin. Up until Daniel Jacobs, a lot of his opponents have had just the style that we know would help him excel. Lack of experience, probably shorter than him, but even if they were taller, they didn't really have power. There weren't really many Daniel Jacobs caliber people that they mesh up and match up very well with him. You know what I mean? Willie Monroe, his biggest fight was Brian Vera. He didn't have any fights like a Golovkin fight. So just to go and fight someone with 350 Amis and who's been knocking everybody out, oh no, he wasn't ready. You know what I'm saying? I didn't really see anything in a lot of opponents. So I told you, it's no mystery to me that Daniel Jacobs gave him his toughest fight, because Daniel Jacobs was the most equipped. He's the guy that had taken a loss, got knocked out, and reinvented himself. He knew how it felt when he tasted defeat. But I guarantee you, even though he lost to Golovkin now, it's not the same as the Dmitry Pirog defeat, because he got knocked out in that fight. He went the distance with the boogeyman. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people thought he won, including people like LL Cool J, who have nothing to do with the sport, but it's just a longtime boxing fan, and actual boxers are saying that too. So I know Jacobs must be feeling like $1 million at this point. But back on track, I haven't really seen that with Crawford. I really feel like he fights whoever, like different styles. And that's, to me, that's the true, just like Floyd Mayweather, and I'm not comparing them. I think they do certain things different. But that's the mark of a true champion, in the sense of they're taking on all comers. Like people shit on Floyd, but they're not realistic. But I can name multiple Floyd opponents, and I'll tell you different things that they present. So he's down to, like, Maidana, much bigger than Floyd, awkward, had momentum from beating Broner, and he has like power, and Floyd fought him twice. Robert Guerrero, a southpaw, probably a little bit of a weight advantage over Floyd, even though he was a new welterweight. So he presents that. Canelo, very good boxer puncher, but flat-footed, but vicious hand speed and vicious combination punching inside fight. You look at Ricky Hatton, just like a tough, mauling. He was undefeated at the time. Manny Pacquiao, a fast in and out ambush. I believe the you know what I mean? Those are all different styles. So, like him or not, Mayweather has fought different styles. Zab Judah, speed guy, these are all different. De La Hoya doesn't fight like Zab Judah, and Zab Judah doesn't fight like Maidana. Maidana doesn't fight like Ricky Hatton. Ricky Hatton doesn't fight like Canelo. These are different styles, so that's how I know Floyd is good, because he keeps adjusting. And Terence Crawford is, I'm not comparing his resume to Floyd, but what I'm saying is he's fighting the various styles, different guys that can trouble you with certain things. Like Gamboa, he was undefeated, Olympic gold medalist. He was shorter, but he had power and he had athleticism. And I had him winning like the first 4 or 5 rounds easily. And Crawford had to adjust, switch to southpaw. Victor Postal, right? Taller, rangy, coming off career best performance with Lucas Matisse, being the only one out of Danny Garcia, Zab Judah, Devin Alexander, and Lamont Peterson, the only guy to fight Lucas Matisse and actually stop him, right? Ruslan Provodnikov. And then that's the version that Terence Crawford fought, of Victor Postal, the champion version, coming off of a career best win, right? A guy who's taller than him and can box. Then his last fight that I covered, he was with John Molina, who's a guy who's pretty big for 140, has punching power, not much on the defense, but he's rugged, he's tough, and if he nails you, and he actually did crack Crawford one time really good in the first round. And then after that, Crawford took it away. I was super close at that fight. So I respect that, because Crawford, he's fighting whoever. Like, he's literally fighting whatever style. It's not really like he's picking and choosing. Like, John Molina fights nothing like Felix Diaz. So if this is the final fight, I got the utmost respect for both Felix Diaz and also Terence Crawford, because it's clear to me he's willing to take on whoever, including Pacquiao. Pacquiao, it seems like his team is the one doesn't want Crawford. You know what I mean? Pacquiao's team is like, oh, we hate his style, Michael Conks. We hate his style. And Freddie Roach is like, we need some tune-up. Why you need tune-ups? You got more experience than Terence Crawford. Why you need tune-ups? You know what I mean? So, you know, on my channel, I keep it a buck. Shout out to Bud, staying in shape, doing what he has to do, taking on the different styles. I love that. And it's funny because HBO, and this is just my opinion, ego, they put all this energy into certain stars like Lomachenko, but he has a loss. He's a great fighter, but he has a loss, right? There's no problem, because Lomachenko is a beast. He's skilled. But Gennady Golovkin, I thought he lost last week to Danny Jacobs. Roman Chocolatito, he actually did lose. They're saying like these guys are the number one pound for pound and this and that. I'm okay, let's say you don't want to give Crawford number one pound for pound, but he's pound for pound material, pound for at least in the top 10, at least. You know what I mean? Look who he's fighting, look what he's doing. Look at the Victor Postal fight. I mean, unfortunately, Victor Postal hasn't been back in action since that, but that wasn't supposed to be no easy task. That was a 50-50 fight, and Crawford made it look like it wasn't shit. You know what I mean? And you don't really hear HBO praising this man. Like, you should, if you're that adamant about saying Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez, who just lost to Sor Rungvisai, whether you agree with it or not, the fact is his last two fights, he looked like shit at the end of his fights. His eye was busted all up in the Carlos Cuadras fight, and then versus Sor Rungvisai, he was leaking like Mankind on wrestling, like he got shot in the head or something. You know what I mean? The Walking Dead, it looked bad. And even I had Chocolatito winning, but it wasn't like a landslide. And you're not supposed to let a guy from nowhere come out, if you're pound for pound number one, and even be close to beating you. You know what I'm saying? Like a guy we never heard of, that he lost to a guy you already beat, Carlos Cuadras. But you don't see HBO really promoting Crawford like he's special. I mean, they say a couple things occasionally, but they're not putting him on no pound for pound list and like really talking him up. This is one of the guys with HBO that you really need to be talking about. Undefeated, versatile, taking on, like, I don't know, man. Just stick to my channel. You guys can listen to HBO or you can listen to EGO. You know what I mean? But I try not to steer you guys wrong. I don't have a horse in the race. I don't have an agenda. And what I've seen from Crawford is special. Taking on Bradis Prescott with 2 weeks to prepare. Are you kidding me? Bradis Prescott, even though, albeit it was a young Amir Khan, he knocked him out brutally in the first round. Crawford moved up 5 pounds. He was fighting at 135. He moved up on 2 weeks' notice against his manager, Cameron Duncan's wishes, to fight Bradis Prescott at 140. And he dominated him like he wasn't shit. What he's doing is not normal. Like takes a certain class. And then he has the amateur accolade, beating Mikey Garcia. You see how good Mikey Garcia is, don't you? Like maybe he wasn't quite what he is today then, but you still beat Mikey Garcia. He's still clearly a guy who's always had power and a good fighter. You know what I mean? You don't just become a good fighter overnight, but you know, I don't know, man. He beat Danny Garcia and Mikey Garcia, and you see how good one just recently lost his championship, and then one just became a champion in a new third weight division. Crawford is the man, and that's who HBO really should be pushing on their network, because he looks like he has the tools to do it all. And by taking on Felix Diaz, clearly he has confidence in his ability, because Felix Diaz is an Olympic gold medal. He just fought Gamboa a couple years ago, another Olympic gold medalist. Tell me who's doing that. Name somebody you know that just will have fought in like 3-4 years span of time, 2 Olympic gold medalists, and arguably they both were undefeated depending on how you judge the Lamont Peterson fight. Man, I know my boxing. You guys can say whatever, but Crawford is the man. Drop it in the comment section. Make sure you share the video, like the video. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.